When was the last time you tried something that you knew you were going to be bad at? Not something you were already good at or something safe, something completely new that made you feel a little bit stupid even thinking about trying it. I just tried to paint a watercolor portrait for the first time and it was not good, like genuinely not good. And my first reaction was like, I'm not going to show this to anyone. And I sat with that feeling for a while. This immediate instinct to hide the thing that didn't turn out right. And I started wondering, where does that even come from? Why is our first reaction to failure always is hide it or don't show it to anyone? There's been research done on perfectionism in young people, specifically our generation, and what they found is that perfectionism is not just rising, it is rapidly increasing. A study that looked at over 40,000 college students across the US, Canada, and the UK, and they found that young people nowadays are significantly more perfectionist than any previous generation. And one of the researchers said something that these people grew up being constantly evaluated on social media. When you are under that kind of microscope, of course, you become more self conscious. And I think that's it. We grew up being watched, and when you grow up being watched, you learn very quickly that looking competent is safer than looking curious, because curiosity means trying things you might fail at, and failing where people can see you feels genuinely dangerous now. It makes you stop trying things, not all at once, just slowly. The thing you wanted to learn but didn't start because you weren't sure you would be good at it, the hobby you thought about picking up but felt too old or too behind to begin, the video you almost made but deleted before posting because it didn't feel impressing enough, and you didn't even notice it happening. You just slowly stop putting yourself in situations where you might look like a beginner. And there's a quote I came across that I think a lot. It says that the fear of looking stupid is holding you back more than actual stupidity ever could. And I believe that because I think of many things that I didn't try, not because I lacked the ability, but I was afraid of what the in between stage would look like, the messy part, the part when you don't know what you're doing. Here's the thing about perfectionism that actually surprised me. It doesn't come from high standards, it comes from needing approval. There's a psychological distinction between wanting to do something well and needing other people to think you are doing it well. And they feel identical from the inside, but they have completely different consequences. Because when you're driven by genuine standards, a bad attempt is just information. It tells you what to do, what to adjust, what to try differently, what you didn't understand yet. But when you're driven by needing approval, a bad attempt feels like a verdict, like that the world had seen something true about you and found you lacking. And that is what makes people stop, not the failure itself, but what they believe the failure means. After I sat with my bad watercolor portrait for a while, I looked at it and I think the proportions are wrong, the colors are not correct. It looked nothing like what I had in my mind. But I also noticed that I had done something that I would never have done before. I had picked up a medium I would never use to, and I had sat there for hours figuring out in real time, and none of that learning would have happened if I had waited until I felt ready. There's a research on this. Studies shows that deliberately making errors and sitting with them is actually one of the most effective ways to learn something deeply, because struggles create stronger memory than smooth success does. Your brain If you have something you have been wanting to try, something you have been putting off because you're not sure you will be good enough at it, or because you're scared of what the first attempt will look like, you're not going to be good at it, not at first. And that's not a prediction, that's just how learning works for every single person who has ever learned anything. You will be bad at it first, and the bad version is not the embarrassing version. It is necessary, because nobody who is good at something now skipped the part where they were bad at. They just decided that looking like a beginner was worth what came after. And I think that decision separates people who build things from people who only think about building them. Not talent, not timing, not the right circumstances, just the decision to try anything, even when the outcome might be embarrassing. And I think the bad first attempt is going to teach you something that no amount of watching or waiting ever could.